Hi, I'm Johnny from UltimatePaperMache.com, and for the last 3 or 4 weeks I've been making a pattern for a new paper mache wolf mask. I started it right after I published my last book. I was thinking books take a long time to build. The fast faces in the book are really fast. They take like 10 or 15 minutes, but the book itself took a really long time to write and to get published. And I thought it was time to do something faster. So I thought designing a new pattern for a wolf would be an easy project. It turns out it's not, because I had a really specific goal in mind. I wanted it to look like a wolf, but on the other hand, I wanted it to be really easy to put together so we could hurry up and get to the fun part of painting it and finishing it and making it look exactly the way we wanted it to. That was the hard part. So after about, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 prototypes, my recycle bin is full of cardboard right now because I made a whole bunch of masks and changed it every single time, changed it just a little bit to make it a little bit easier to put together, and I finally made it. I'm really happy with the way it came out. I like the way it looks, and I really like the fact that it's so easy to put together. And in this video, I'm going to show you how the pattern is put on cardboard, how we cut it out and tape it together to make all the shapes of the wolf mask. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to put the paper mache over the cardboard mask, and then in a third video, I'll show you how I painted him. The pattern is going to be on my website if you'd like to go check it out. You just go to UltimatePaperMache.com and click on the pattern link up at the very top, and you'll see all of the patterns that I've got. This one will be up close to the top. And so now let's go ahead and see how the cardboard pieces all come together and make the shapes of a wolf. To make the mask, you're going to need some cardboard. You're also going to need your pattern printed out on regular letter size or A4 paper. You need some scissors and a cutter. I'm using a brand new blade, of course, because a dull blade is really dangerous if you're too young to use a knife safely, or if you have arthritis in your hands. You might want to get some help cutting out the cardboard pieces. You're going to need a glue stick to temporarily put the pattern pieces on the cardboard so that you can cut them out correctly. And you need some tape. I'm using plastic tape, just Scotch tape. It would also work really well if you use masking tape instead, if you can get some that sticks really well. The Scotch brand of masking tape seems to be stickiest of the ones that I've tried. I'm also going to use a straight edge. I just happen to be using this stick, but you probably want to use a ruler if you've got one handy. You're going to need a pen. I'm going to use a table knife, just going to use the back end, not the front. I don't want to cut anything with it. And I'm going to use the hot glue gun for the eyebrows and the nose, but you might prefer to tape them. That's totally up to you. This is sort of optional. So now we're going to put the pieces on the cardboard, and we need to cut them out off the paper, just enough so that we can place them where we need to. You don't have to cut around the little lines yet. We'll do that when we're cutting out the cardboard. Now there's lines here that have little arrows on both ends. That's the grain line, and it goes with the corrugations. You're going to see stripes across your cardboard, and that's where it actually folds easiest. So I'm going to put my lines here, my grain lines I'm calling them, right across like this so that they go along with the corrugations. And in order to get it to stay there, I'm going to use my glue stick. I was able to get all of my pattern pieces on 3 sheets. They're 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardboard. You can actually cut out all the pieces with scissors if you want to. It's a little bit easier on some of them to use the knife. I like using the scissors for the smaller pieces and anything that's rounded because the knife doesn't go very well on curves. And I like to use the knife for all the straight edges, just because it seems to go a little bit faster. Some of the pieces have to be cut into the edge like this, and it's a lot easier if you go around the outside first, like this, and then go back and cut those out. there's a couple of pieces that have little arrows on them, and that just marks the center line. We're going to use that in order to connect two pieces so that they fit together properly. So I'm just going to lift up the edge and mark the cardboard. There's a fold line right here on the bigger pieces, and I want to make that line fairly crisp. So I'm going to use something that just has a straight edge. A ruler would work even better. And I'm going to use the back of this knife. So I'm just pushing down on the cardboard along that line so that it will bend in a nice straight line. And I'm going to do this same thing over here. This is above the eye. It folds the other way. Folds backwards instead of frontwards. I'm going to do that on both of them. And this is the muzzle piece. I'm going to turn it upside down. And this rounded area up here, I'm going to do basically the same thing. Just going to push in to kind of squash the corrugations. Now when we turn it over, we can make a nice smooth curve at the top. And that's what we need for the muzzle. Now there's other areas that also need to bend, but in different directions. And what we're going to do, just to make it a little bit easier, is we're just going to kind of mess with our cardboard for a little while. Especially on the really big pieces like this one that goes along the side of the face. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want it to be able to bend fairly smoothly when I pull this dart together. And that's the first thing I'm going to tape. You want to press your tape down really good. Pull the pieces together as closely as you can. Try to make sure that the tape is flat. You don't want it to wrinkle up because that'll show underneath your paper mache. And then turn it over and reinforce that seam with another piece of tape. The forehead piece has two darts. Go ahead and tape those together. Now we're going to attach the muzzle piece to the forehead piece. Just like this. Make sure that they're centered. Stick that on there. Turn it over. Now this piece has a lot of tension on it. Lots. So you want to tape this piece up really, really good. And I'm going to reinforce it by going across this way. Now I'm going to tape these pieces together. On your pattern, this will be seam number 2. With all these seams, you want to put on lots and lots of tape. You want to make sure that you get it nice and flat because any wrinkles in the tape are going to show up in your final paper mache surface. You don't want that to happen because then you'll have to go to a lot of work to get the wrinkles out. I just put one in there, so I'm squishing it really tight. There we go. And you also want to turn it over and reinforce the seam on the back. Okay, this is seam number 3. Make sure that you reinforce that top edge up by the eyes. Now it kind of folds up, kind of a little bit like origami. Kind of push in on his muzzle. Reinforce it on both ends. Now we're going to put the end of his muzzle, just bend it down. The edges here, there's a mark on the pattern that shows you that this end right here needs to be folded down, and that's just so that it matches the curve of the muzzle. This edge right here is too sharp for a wolf, so I'm just squishing it and kind of bending it so that this will go forward like this. Now he looks sort of like a greyhound right now because he's not wide enough, but this is going to fix that. We've got a couple of darts on the top of the head too, and those need to get taped together first. And like always, we do want to kind of bend it and just kind of wrestle with the cardboard a little. And now we can easily just pull those pieces together. Now you line up the center marks that you put on the forehead and the top of the head pieces. I'm just going to put one piece of tape on right now just to make sure that it's centered correctly while we're taping the rest of it together. Put it on there really good. And then we want to just turn it over and start taping it from the back. It's a lot easier that way. You start in the middle and keep moving outwards. And this last little bit on the edge, right at the end, has to be done from this side. Putting the ruff together, it's easiest to do it from the back first, because otherwise it tries to pull apart. You have to bend it down so that so the fur is now moving forward on the other side. And it's time for the ears. This longer edge, it's got a bulge here. This is the outside edge. You want to bend them forward into C shape. And put a little piece of tape on the back of that corner. And I'm going to put it right here, right where the top of the headpiece and the main headpiece comes together, right at that corner. Tape that on both sides. And I'm going to pull it around so the front edge touches that dart. You need to use lots of tape on the ear. One good way to get the ear to stay where it belongs is to put a piece of tape across the front and move it backwards so that it's attached both to the front and back of the ear and to the top of the head. And that kind of holds that corner where it belongs. Do the same thing to this one. Put the tape on the back first. Tape it to that corner. Curve it around so that it comes about 1/2 inch from the end of the dart. We're almost done. We're really, really close. I'm going to put the nose on first. We're going to put it right here on the front, and we want it to be lined up correctly, of course. And we want the top piece to be able to fold over so that it's like this. You don't want to use too much hot glue or it will squish out and cover up those detail lines and the nostrils and stuff. I just cut a piece of tape in half so I can get a nice skinny piece, and I'm going to go around this part right here, just right on that corner. Trying really careful not to put any tape across the nostrils. I just want to cover up that empty space. And then we don't actually want a ridge right here, so I'm going to be using tape. Just going to tape it across it right there, pull it down. We're going to work on that with the paper mache as well, just to smooth it out just a little bit better. This is the piece that goes under the eye. And fold those darts down. And I want the tape to fold over reasonably neatly. So I'm cutting the edges of my tape into pieces so that I can fold just one piece back at a time. It's the bone that goes around the under part of his eye. And it does push out just a little bit right there. Adds a little bit of interest to the shapes. But if you prefer a more angular look, then you should leave this off. We do the eyebrow the same way. The pointy part goes towards the outside. So this one goes here. And before actually attaching the eyebrows on there, you want to kind of get a feel for which way you want them. They can kind of change the expression depending on where you put them. I want this corner to meet the top of the eye, and I want this corner to meet where all these other pieces come together. And it's ready for the paper mache. That's all we had to do. So now we have all of the cardboard pieces taped together. We've got all the shapes that we need for our wolf, but we need to put the paper mache over it. And that's coming up in the next video. Be sure and watch for it. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure and subscribe to my channel and click the little bell thingy so that YouTube will let you know when the next video comes out. And in the meantime, be sure and come and visit me at ultimatepapermache.com.